All right, everyone. We are doing another one of our animator artist interviews here, and today we have Lee Coleman. Hi, Lee. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. Um, have you done work that maybe my students might be familiar with in any way, shape, or form?
I have, I think the most familiar show I have, actually the most familiar film I've probably done is Space Jam: A New Legacy as an
Okay,
assistant
great.
animator, and then the television series X-Men 97 as a key animator. Those are probably the two that are probably the most
Most
prominent
popular.
ones. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so I usually kind of start off with this question. So where does your love of animation or motion come from for you?
Uh, way when I was a little kid. I think probably in second grade,
Hmm.
when the movie Spirited Away first came out.
Oh, sure, yeah. That was a great film.
Yeah, so it kind of started there. I mean, I've always loved animation. I guess I just didn't realize I truly loved it until that film. Um, but basically, like it was the scene where Chihiro was heading down towards the boiler room, and
Hmm.
it was like a close-up shot of her foot,
Okay.
and it was like her foot was kind of like pressing on the stairs and then it broke, but it was just kind of giving a really nice sense of weight.
Sure,
And
yeah.
obviously, I didn't know what that meant at the time. Like, I didn't know that
Right.
you needed like spacing, like really nice
Right, right.
spacing to like create that sense of weight. But it just really intrigued me. Like, how did they do that? Like, how did they create that feeling of weight and stuff? And I always like wanted to understand that concept as a kid. And so that's kind of what pushed me to want to become an animator in the first place.
Great.
You know?
So as a kid, were you kind of I find that people like us, it's like we were always just drawing, right? We were
Yes.
kind of like
Always.
I'm a little bit older than you, I think. And so like I grew up kind of in the 80s when I thought I was going to be like a cartoonist. Like I grew up when like, comics in the 80s were like, like Snoopy and all that. Garfield, of course, were like huge and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
But then somewhere along the lines, I was like, oh wait, maybe if I did like animation or something, so I kind of made that transition or they're switching my mind. But so like you're sort of always drawing, you see that film, you want to become an animator. Do you go to art school or?
No,
Where
so
does it take you from there?
so I was a mix of an athlete and
Okay.
an artist. So I went to Miami University of Ohio.
Okay.
So I did track and field, but I've like my bachelor's was focused in fine art, specifically painting. They actually
Okay.
didn't have an animation program there,
Sure.
but they had interactive media studies, which actually they introduced probably, I think, like my sophomore year. So I did minor in interactive media studies. So they did have like a couple of animation classes. So I was introduced to animation,
Mm.
but I was really glad to have that background in painting because it helped me understand like the traditional skill sets
Sure.
because it helps me learn how to actually draw,
Right. Yeah.
which
Of
is
course.
kind of like the base of animation for me personally. Because for me, like I love drawing people, I love drawing like animate objects that kind of
Mm.
have like a flow to them, and just learning how to do that traditionally is kind of what helped me get started in animation, like how to actually perform it in
Mhm.
general. So.
Great. So you go to there, and then you get your degree in fine art or something along those lines, right?
Yeah. So once I got my fine arts degree, I kind of took like a few years off. And then I got my master's
Okay.
in animation. So I actually, well, actually technically design with a focus in animation at The Ohio State University,
Mm.
um,
Excuse me.
where actually the majority of their program is focused in 3D animation. So I
Okay.
definitely learned how to utilize 3D animation, but they knew that I was a 2D animator.
Mm.
So my goal was to implement 2D and 3D together for my
Oh, okay.
final thesis.
Right.
So I did take some independent study courses
Hmm.
so I can learn more 2D like techniques on the side. I
Great.
went to a whole bunch of conventions, so I went to like the CT and Expo during
Hmm.
that time. I met James Baxter, got feedback from him,
Oh,
like during,
awesome.
yeah. So there was, I like definitely took advantage of my master's degree
Sure.
during that time, and it was like a really great opportunity. I met JP Sands from
Hmm.
DreamWorks. He was actually the first person to ever give me constructive feedback on my portfolio. Like that
Oh,
was the
nice. Very
first time
cool.
I actually really received feedback. And yeah, so my master's degree is actually what helped me really develop my skills.
Okay.
And then actually during that time I got my first official um professional animation job working in a documentary.
Oh, nice.
That's actually where I met my mentor, Dan Haskett, who actually has been working in the industry for 50 plus years.
Sure.
And he was a supervisor on the documentary. And it kind of rolled over to then him actually, after him watching my thesis, he offered me a job at Warner Brothers
Oh,
to
wow, nice.
actually work on Space Jam because he was working on it. So it was, yeah.
So how was it what was the feeling of getting, obviously that's a big break to work on such a big movie.
Mhm.
What was that experience like for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, there was definitely a lot of senior animators working on. There was Tony Bancroft. There was Matt Williams.
Hmm.
I think Paul Roy was working on it too.
Hmm.
Who else was working on it? There was people from Don Blue Studios who've been working on it, people who had worked
Hmm.
on Beauty and the Beast, like cleanup artists who had once worked on
Right.
Beauty and the Beast. Like there was
Yeah, yeah.
just a
A lot
like
of lot of veterans.
so many veterans, and like during like the meetings and stuff, it was just interesting because I thought the meetings were gonna be like, just a regular meeting, but it was just so there were so many characters and so much
Right.
fun. And I was just like, is this how, and I was like asking my mentor, I was like, is this how meetings are? And he's like, yes, this is how meetings, like they're like there's so many characters. And it was
You and
just
I were
really
talking off air about this, but like I have one of my first kind of friends who his name's Arnie Wong, and he was an animator in the 80s and 90s. And then
Mhm.
I've talked to another guy named Eugene Ham, who's kind of that era. He worked on like Gumby, and it's like they're always these like over the top, like they're very just like almost like a
So,
vaudeville character kind of.
yes.
Like they're so like, oh, you are a Looney Tune. Okay, I get it. Like,
So it was so loony, but it was just like so inspiring because you could just see you could just see the love and
right,
also
right,
like
sure,
how
the
much they
passion.
loved it and the passion. And then like one thing that I learned, especially like I don't know if you know Steve Gordon. So he worked on one of the original X-Men from 2000.
Oh,
He
okay.
was a character
Yeah, yeah.
designer and also
Oh, nice.
animator, but like he taught me basically like in animation, it's a feeling like
Sure.
when you're animating. And I was working under him as an assistant in some of the shots, but like just learning all the different stuff and just how helpful all of them were, it gave me
Right.
so much confidence. And
That's great.
I think that's one thing is like people have this intimidation when working under veterans, but in actuality they want you to learn because you're the next generation
Sure.
of animators, and they don't want you to feel intimidated. They want you to like, move forward because they're not going to be here like forever. So they want you to, take the skills that they have and be the next people to, be the next animators, like, yeah.
So you were a concept artist for that movie. Can you talk a little, or was it a different one? Sorry.
Oh, so I was a concept artist for another movie called Toto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was an assistant animator for Space Jam.
Got it. Okay.
What would you like to know about the concept art?
I just wanted you to kind of maybe explain to my student. First of all, like my students, I have mentioned the concept of concept art, but maybe you want to like, since that was your part of your job, what is a concept artist, and what makes a good concept artist in your opinion?
Um, so I'm still learning as like, because that's not really my specialty, but like
Okay.
from my mentor's perspective, he has like a better ideation of it, it's basically like first of all, you do a lot of research
Sure.
on just like what is it that the audience is viewing, like,
Okay.
and you don't want to tell the story of your character. The character tells the story itself. Like the
Right.
image of the character tells the story itself. If the image can't tell the story itself, you
Show
have
don't tell,
every
which is the always the long-standing movie kind of storytelling trope in movies. Show don't
yes,
tell.
exactly. So for example, like in order for you to do that, you have to do a lot of like concepts. So that's shape, size,
Mhm.
color,
Right.
different ideations, and not just come up with, oh, this is the idea I have. Okay, well,
Right.
expand on that idea. Like you can't just have one or two ideas and think that's the final concept. And even for my students, like they still have that same problem, and it's getting them out of that comfort zone. And the issue is a lot of people don't have knowledge of the outside world.
Sure, yeah.
And I gave them an example of a Dorothy, like an email that was sent to
Okay.
my mentor for Dorothy,
Okay.
concept for Dorothy, and they use
From The
like
Wizard of Oz
from the
or
Wizard of
okay,
Oz,
okay.
and they use like Dorothy Dandridge, or not Dorothy Dandridge, they used Audrey Hepburn,
Right, right.
Katharine Hepburn. I know those actresses.
Sure, sure.
Like I've done my research, I've seen them, I've seen movies from them, so I'm like aware of them. But like students had no idea who those
Sure, of course.
actresses
Right.
were, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
guys, come on. Like, you have
It's funny
to.
as a kid, you watch a lot of these animations, and then as you get older and learn more about old movies, you're like, oh, okay, they're totally based on this like one actor or
Yeah.
actress or whatever. And it's like you didn't know that because you're 8 and you've never seen that
Yeah.
movie, but like you're like, oh, okay, this is clearly like a nod to like Jack Nicholson or whatever, or like
Exactly.
or like who's the guy from A Wonderful Life?
Oh,
Jimmy
not,
Stewart.
yeah, just do, yeah.
So it's
But
like, you know.
my
But of
mom
course, as
loves
a
that
kid,
movie.
like, it's not like as a kid you're watching a lot of Jimmy Stewart films usually. But it's like
No.
as you get older, you're like, oh, okay, that's clearly based on that. So yeah, I
Hmm.
hear what you're saying.
But it's just like they don't know a lot of that stuff. And I'm like, that's why y'all need to go outside
Right.
and discover things, and you need to observe, and you need to understand that the internet's not the only thing that's
Right.
going to give you
Sure.
the answer. And so that was one thing that they had a lot of trouble with, was because they can't expand on that because they don't have a lot of knowledge of expansion. And so that's one thing for students, is like, if you're going to create concept art, you need to have a wide knowledge of things. Like the internet's not going to give you all these answers. That's why getting outside,
Mhm.
observing your world. Like, so for example, like when you're people watching, there's so many different shapes and
Right.
sizes of
Right.
people.
Right.
Like, that's a good start.
Sure.
So just utilizing that, and then like different like dog like shapes too, different animal shapes, like going to the zoo, going like
Right. Right.
just going on vacation too. And but people don't do that. People don't want to do that. People don't want to go outside, and
Right.
and I think that's the problem, and that's why concept art is so hard for students. So that's the first thing.
What would so do you have other advice to my students who might be wanting to do better in their concept art besides just researching and getting outside?
Practice drawing. So like
Sure.
if you want to, okay, if you don't want to like go outside at first, if you like have like like a group of friends, use your friends at first.
Sure.
So start there. Use them as models and stuff. Maybe even use your wardrobe.
Sure.
Think about like, I don't know, like because I know like a lot of my students are for some reason obsessed with the 90s. I don't know why.
It's it's the way you know how it works. Like I don't know, when I was a teenager in the 90s, everyone was obsessed with the 70s. It's always 20 years behind. I'm actually surprised
Yeah.
it's the 90s and not like the early 2000s, to be honest, because it's usually
Yeah.
a 20-year gap usually is how it works, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
A- Apparently we're vintage now, and I feel some type of
Oh,
way
we're
about
totally
that.
It's funny. I made this joke like the fashion now is exactly what I wore when I was in high school. So it's like when I'm a teacher, it's like I'm talking to a younger version of me. Like almost,
Yeah,
it's like kind of weird because they're
it
dressed the way I would have
is.
been dressed in the
It is.
90s.
I'm like,
And I'm just like, is
oh.
that how I looked in the 90s? Okay, it's fine, whatever. Like,
That's what it feels like. Yeah. So, just kind of saying like, oh, maybe just explore a little bit more of like your friends,
sure.
yourself, your family. So you can like start there and then start expanding a little bit more, but just practice with basic shapes. Like if you're still struggling with like how to draw stuff, if you're drawing the same exact style,
Mhm.
find a style that you're not comfortable with.
Sure.
So maybe look for a style that you've never done before, something that's completely off the rails. So like a European
Right.
type like animation that you probably never seen before. So for example, there's this one animation called The Rabbi's Cat. So off the rail, but it's such an interesting style. A
Mhm.
lot of people have
I don't
never
think I've
seen
seen that
it.
one, but I should.
It's a good movie. I
I mean,
actually
I've seen a
really
lot of European animation, but I don't think I've seen that
yeah,
one.
it's a French film. But it's really interesting style, but just looking for something that just might feel unfamiliar. Like I have students that have specific facial features, and I'm like, get out of
Mhm.
those facial features. Like,
Right,
what are
right.
some things that you could try? And then they'll start complaining, like, but I'm like, no, get out of this because all your characters look the exact same.
Right, right.
So, like, what can you do to make your characters not look the same? So, start
Sure,
looking for stuff that you don't like, maybe.
sure.
So,
I think that's good advice.
yeah.
So I'm looking at your resume here. So you worked as the lead for a different studio.
Hmm.
And you mentioned that you were pitching roughs from storyboard to animation test. Can you explain what that means to my students who maybe don't understand what that term would mean?
Um, so it might be I assume for the lead, this either might be for Anongo or this might be for Studio Mirror.
Studio Mirror is what I'm seeing here.
Okay, so so for this one, what the process was, this is an Asian company.
Okay.
And with Asian companies, they
Is this
have,
like a TV show or a film or
yes, so this was
okay.
for Skull Island and for X-Men 97.
Okay.
So they actually have two processes. The two processes is you have the rough pass and then you have the cleanup pass. And this is the only way you
Mhm.
get paid. So pay attention to that. So you want so the rough pass is basically you just do a rough pass of the keys. You can
Mhm.
do some like in betweens to help the assistant animator.
Right.
And then you pass it and then you give it to your supervisor. And
And
then
by the way, sorry for my students, keys,
the
as you should remember when I tell you guys, keys are the key poses. Which would also mean that she's the lead, because typically the key animator, at least traditionally in the Disney style, would be the main veteran animator, and the in-between would be usually the lower level people who are just starting out. Sorry,
listen, the
didn't mean to
assistant
interrupt you
animator.
there. Didn't
Oh
mean to interrupt you
no,
there, but
the assistant and mind you, the assistant animator is very important.
oh, of course, they're all important. I'm just saying, like
Very.
traditionally in terms of like hierarchy within a studio,
Oh,
that's typically how it
absolutely.
went.
But I hand it off to my supervisor. They review the poses and like just based off the storyboards.
Mm,
Because one thing about this particular studio is that they're very strict. You have
mm,
to follow the boards
sure.
and also follow the layouts.
Okay.
And so what they do is once they hand it back to you, they'll either give you feedback and be like, okay, change this pose, or be like, you're good to go. And then
Mm,
you would just clean up the poses and and solidify the look of the character to how it's going to be for the final cleanup look.
mm.
And and then you would hand it off for the assistant animator to fill in the in-betweens. So that's what I did.
Great.
So yeah.
So it sounds like you've had a lot of different roles. Did you have one particular that you enjoyed the most, or one that stands out as?
I mean, I like being a key and assistant animator. Like the film I'm currently working on right now. I am both the key and in betweener. So I am doing all of it. So, and then I'm handing it off to clean up. So, I like being a rough animator just in
Mm.
general.
Right.
That's my favorite portion of the production line. Um, because I can do cleanup. I just it's just a cleanup. I give anybody who is a cleanup, you guys are the best thing that could ever
Can
happen in production. Because that is it is so hard. It is. It's so
you go over a
tedious.
little bit to my students what cleanup is, just to roughly?
So cleanup, okay, so there's and people don't actually realize there's one process before cleanup and that's tie down.
Mm.
And so tie down is clear drawings that are after rough. So there's rough
Right.
where it's like you pretty much just got to get the movements down.
Sure, sure.
And then tie down, you're defining the look of the character. It's not clean, but it's clear.
Right.
Like you're
Right, right.
starting to define things. Not everything's clear, but at like, the face is starting to become more clear and everything. Cleanup is where everything is fully rendered and like that means accessories, that
Right.
means line
Coloring.
work, everything is cleaned and it goes off to the coloring. So,
Mm. Right.
so that's where like you have to make sure that the movement, all the poses work in tandem with each other. Like there's no like offset or anything with the
Right.
movement. And that's where like kind of time charts, if like the students,
Right.
um, which I highly recommend, all students need to understand time charts is utilized because
Sure.
in production, time charts are utilized with cleanup too, surprisingly. Because I know in Space Jam, they did utilize my time charts for
That would make
cleanup.
sense, especially
Yeah.
because they're all more older veterans. So I'm sure made a
Yes.
thousand time charts in their day. So
Yes. So yes, they were I remember there was a shot they actually like brought back to me. They're like, "Hey, your time charts don't align with mine." I was like, "Oh no." So I had to like readjust
right,
the time charts and send it back. They're like, "Okay, we're good now." And I was like, I
right.
was like, "Oh my gosh." But yes.
Um, so here's a question I usually ask my people I interview. So, with my students, this might be like their intro class, or maybe they've taken like one other animation class. Let's say you have a student who's like, okay, I took intro to animation, 12 principles, all that. I really like animation. I might consider it for a career, not sure, but at least I want to learn more. Let's
Mm.
leave it at that. What advice would you give to that student about
Mm,
where to go from there, so to speak?
if they're interested in pursuing it, first of all, I ask them what part of the production line. And
Hmm.
then I asked some questions like, if you are, have you developed a portfolio?
Sure,
And then kind of just working that portion and then seeing like their animation in general. So normally like at the beginning of each semester, I have my students do like 60 minutes of animation, just do like a practice
sure.
60-minute animation. So I see where they are so
Okay,
that if they are interested, I'm like, okay, this is where you're at.
sure.
And if you are interested, let's get you to another level. So what I do during the semester is that I'll do like little exercises and
Okay.
stuff to like just challenge them because one of the things is all of my assignments is portfolio ready, should be portfolio
Mhm.
ready.
Right.
So
That's
it's
that's what I always tell my students
yeah,
is like, the bigger projects you should think about putting in your portfolio and
exactly.
having work to show, basically.
Exactly. And a lot of my assignments are like short, but the quality
Mhm.
should be high.
Right.
And so, like, for example, like their final is like, I think like 15 seconds long.
Okay.
So, but like I give them 2 weeks to rough out and then 2 weeks to tie down.
Got it.
So they have that chance to think about what they're doing, but they're not feeling like overwhelmed or rushed because they have like four other classes
Right,
they gotta
right.
like do.
Yeah,
So I give them because like I know like two other classes they do like pipeline, they have to do like 1 minute of
yeah.
animation. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to, torture you and whatever,
Right,
but like I want to give you a chance to have like something that is portfolio ready because I know that in their portfolio it has to be 1 minute normally for their demo reel. It's like around
right.
1 minute of animation.
Of
So
animation.
yeah. So I tell them that.
Okay. No, I think that's great advice.
Mhm.
All right. Here's this question, and you can answer it however you want to answer it. And so it doesn't have to be necessarily industry related. It can just
Mm.
be like theoretical. Where do you see animation going in the next 20 years?
Ooh. Um, okay. Theoretically, no, let me correct myself real quick. Delusionally,
Sure, let's start there.
I'm hoping that, there's some balance
Hmm.
because I do understand, the AI thing happening and there's a lot going on in terms of how technology is changing.
Sure.
And a lot of people are saying well, traditional animation's dying, all this and that. But I do know there's a lot of companies that are pushing back on it,
Hmm.
which I do appreciate. Um, Theoretically, again, like it just depends on, us as artists pushing back and continuing to make jobs like
Sure.
there. Like so even if it's just not like huge industry type work, there's still
Sure.
clients that
Right.
want, hand drawn work
Sure.
and stuff, which there are people that still want that. And 20 years from now, I honestly can't give that answer.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
I think we're in a weird time. I said this because I teach a lot of computer science classes, and it's like
yeah,
AI, of course, was a big thing in it. But it's like the problem with AI is a lot of people at the top who don't know anything were promised a lot of things by AI companies because, of
yeah,
course, they were trying to sell their technology to them.
yeah.
And they were like, oh, great, we can fire like half our people and replace it with whatever. And then now they're realizing, oh, wait, no. I mean, maybe it can do some things faster, but then it causes all these other problems and like this,
Hmm.
that, and the other. And it ends up being the same, if not in some ways worse. But it takes a couple of years for that to shake out because that would require the people at the top to admit they're wrong, and that usually takes a little
It
while.
takes a long time. Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, I think it ha hit a lot of not just, computer science related, but obviously here too. And I'm hoping that I think AI will be introduced in some way, in the same way that like, the switch from analog to digital kind of in the late
Hmm.
80s and the 90s, like there'll be it in some way. Like I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
but that you'll still need like people. Like you can't
Yeah.
just type into it and get your amazing, Disney quality animation with no
Oh,
flaws.
absolutely. I do know that there is a class that we do teach that kind of shows how to utilize AI, but in a safe way
Sure, sure.
without stealing other people's work.
Oh, great. Yeah.
But like you're utilizing your own work within like a confined space.
Within your own
Um,
personal database kind of situation.
exactly. So
Yeah.
like we're showing students how to do that. And I know in like other classes like mine, we don't utilize AI and we're using traditional
Sure.
aspects of stuff. So we're doing both sides of the spectrum so they understand here's AI
Right.
and then here's traditional. So you understand how both function. So you can
Sure.
choose, but you can choose safely.
Sure.
So there's that. So I do understand that AI unfortunately is going to be there, but it's just like how are you going to utilize it when it does
Sure.
come to that point?
Sorry, so I kind of sidelined you for a second there. So in 20 years, you were saying you weren't sure where it would be in 20
20
years?
years, I don't know. I mean, like as of right now, I know the industry right now is struggling right now.
Yeah.
I do
It
know
was
that,
kind of a 1-2 punch of there's that going on. There's also a
mhm,
downturn in the economy, just in
yeah,
general, regardless of whatever industry you're in. And
yeah.
then also a rise in, I mean, this has been since like literally the 70s, but like outsourcing to other countries.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Disney was outsourcing to Korea in like the 1970s, so this is nothing
I
new.
mean, it did for X-Men, like
Yeah.
it did for X-Men 97. Like I was working for Studio Mir when
Right.
when Marvel hired them. So yeah, still does.
But it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, there always will be places, other people I've talked to, it's still like people want to see creativity.
Oh yeah.
I think you're starting, I mean, even now, I've been, not to say it's going to go away, but it's like, I'm seeing backlashes by normal people, not just artists, to AI. Like, just like they're tired of it. And so, the whole point of it is if it may be cheap, but if people, the whole point of why companies want to use it is to save money to sell products and, make money. But if people don't want to watch your ad because it's just boring or whatever, then they're going to go, oh, wait, we thought we'd save a bunch of money by doing this, but now no one wants to watch it. So, maybe we need to go back to actual humans doing things. Uh, Saving
Yeah.
money only makes sense if people buy the
Yeah.
thing, but if they don't
Well,
buy it, like,
yeah. Well, the thing is that people don't realize it takes the soul away from like the actual like animation.
right.
Like people don't realize that. So when people are like, "Oh, AI is so easy," I'm like, "Okay, but you're taking away the soul." Like,
Yeah, no, it has that I mean, not just because a lot of it is photorealistic, but like it has like an uncanny valley where it's like,
yes.
wait, that's not how people would say that or whatever, just like it feels off. Like you can't always put your finger on it.
No, it
But
just
it's
feels
like
weird.
even if it was like a cartoon and it wasn't meant to be photorealistic, it was like it's still like, wait, that's not how that would go. Like that's
No,
just
it
weird.
feels very generic and like I just yeah, like even like I remember there was someone who used it for a Ghibli thing and they're like it's and I was just like if you truly love Ghibli, you would not use this
Right.
to create something Ghibli because Miyazaki and Ghibli itself would never use this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, of course.
so it's I don't know. It's just one of those things.
It is what it is. I always say AI is what gives non-creative people. I always joke that like as a creative, when you do contract work, the person in charge is using you like a crayon. That goes
Hmm.
back to an old like the oatmeal where it's like
Oh.
he kind of described being like you are the crayon that they draw with, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
And that now that AI exists, they can jump over us and go straight to the thing so they can feel creative because they
Yeah.
type something into a box. But it's like, no, you didn't do any. I mean, you had a slightly not horrible idea, I suppose, but it's like, it just gives spits you back some like random thing. But that's kind of where we are now, but I'm hoping, like I said, that it's gonna pan out and people are gonna be like, yeah, we're tired of this. That was fun for 5 minutes, but like now we would like something else and
I
something where it
think
doesn't feel like a robot wrote it. Like, you
I
know.
think people are starting to like low key. I think people are starting to get over it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, do you have any fun parting words or advice from my students? You don't have to, by the way. I always feel like I put people on the
Oh,
spot with
it's
this.
no, it's
One
okay.
one person I interviewed, his name was Dash Shaw. He's a comic book artist. He did like a couple of indie, and he's like, I don't have any advice. I was like, okay.
It's
I was like, that's fair. I mean, I don't want to like put that on someone to have to
I,
give like a poetic parting word or
I
something.
mean
Like,
I feel like it's just something any other animator would say or any other
yeah.
person would just say. It's just kind of like if this is truly what you want to like go for, or just have fun with, like go for it. But
Mhm.
it's not something that you should take lightly.
Right.
Um, and it is going to take discipline, but at the same time, do it and remember you did it for the love of it and don't
Right.
forget the love of it because when you forget the love of it, it does make things harder.
Sure.
Um, and just have fun with it. I know that's easier said than done. But yeah, just and always ask questions.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's very good. You're
Don't
always
be a
learning, always trying
yeah.
to expand your skill set.
Yes. And then, when an opportunity like presents itself to you, don't be afraid to take it because you'd rather take that opportunity than be afraid to not take the opportunity.
Right. Yeah.
Um, Even if like
Confidence. I
oh my gosh, confidence because imposter syndrome is real. Um, take the opportunity, even if you feel like your portfolio is not ready, still take
That's how
it.
I started in teaching. I literally applied. I was like, they're not going to call me back because it was for a 3D job, a teacher. And I was like, oh, this is San Francisco. There's got to be like hundreds of ex Pixar people lying around. Why would they want me? But I just did it because I was unemployed. I had nothing better to do. And then I ended up getting the job,
See, there you go.
And it's like, sure, why not? So it's like you never know what's gonna happen. I mean, sometimes you just gotta like just try it and see what happens. And it may work out, it may not, but you never know.
Agreed. That's literally how I was with my job because when I applied, two of my classmates from Ohio State applied too, and I thought they were the
Better.
best pick than I
Right.
was, and I was like, I ain't getting it.
Then
I'm not
you
getting
got
it.
it. See,
And I
then you
got
got
it.
it.
But
Yeah.
they're also now professors there
Oh,
too,
okay,
so
great.
but in a different department. But it was just funny that I was just like, this is great. But yeah, just don't give up on yourself even when it's hard. Keep pushing through that. Like, always get up when it's hard. And if it's too hard at the moment, get up and walk away for a second, but remember to
Mhm.
come back.
Sure.
So
Well, I think that's all great advice. Where can my students find you on the internet?
you can find me either at my website at www.leahcoleman15.com or on my LinkedIn. I think it's like Leah Coleman 92.
Okay, great. And I can post all
Um,
this for my students because it's gonna be on
yeah.
my page. So,
Or you can visit my school's website at ccad.edu and you can find my links there.
awesome. Well, we appreciate your time and giving us a little insight about your journey and the different kind of things you did and your advice. And I think all of that is super helpful for my students.
Yes, of course. I wish them the best of luck.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And